to get up and go faster. I mean, just give me an idea. Who couldn't care less if they go faster or not? Who's just quite happy doing what they're doing? Shame. Shame. See, and again, it's a little risky if I come up with lots of advice and say do different sorts of sessions and run faster. I mean, was it you, Barry? You said your legs were hurting after the last session. Yeah. See, I mean, you will get a reaction, and I'm not trying to get you to be injured, and I don't want you to try it once or twice, and then to do more speed work once or twice, and then feel you're so uncomfortable, so sore, which is what I feel nowadays when I try and do anything. It puts you right off, and you think, well, go to him, it's all right for him, but we're different. So I'm not saying take what I say with a pinch of salt, but perhaps don't suddenly think, I've got to change everything. I mean, you're happy doing what you're doing, and you've probably all got quite a good base. But if you do want to go faster, I think you've got to ask yourself, the first question is, what actually stops you going faster? Give me an idea. Anybody who wants to go faster, there was something. Well, it might be a bit. You think it's mental? Does mind over matter? Breathing. Okay. Well, I would say normally it's a breathing, and then I would say, well, how often do you get out of breath when you're training? Many times? Yeah. You see, a lot of people like running in their comfort zone. They've got a heart rate monitor on. They think this is the right limit to go at, and they never really suffer. Now, Ian was talking about suffering. Where's he gone? He was talking about suffering. He says most people, when they start running at age 40 plus, they don't know how to suffer. When I was in the commando, I used to. But no, it is, and I think perhaps this book's the art of running faster. But I think the art of coaching, especially older people, is to try and kids actually as well, to try and fix situations where they are somehow enabled to discover what they're capable of doing. Because a lot of the time, they read stuff and say, stay in these limits, don't strain, don't go above 145 beats a minute. You only do it for fun. Any excuse for not really trying hard. Whereas I've found if you put people in a relay situation, suddenly they're running for a team and they've got someone to catch in front, and the training days I've put on, numerous training days, people have suddenly run faster, looked much better. They might be sore the next day, but at least they've discovered what they can do. Now, I'm not saying they can run that fast for long, but it's the start of learning to run faster. A little bit like the guys who came at the weekend to the session. They were only short hills, but there was some pretty good running. How many people are suffering? How many people regret doing it?
I regret it, but I'm suffering.
You've got just sore legs.
Yeah, I've got really sore knee.
You see, it's so hard for me. I've explained why. I hope you understand. It's so hard for me to say what you should do, but let's. You're all older people. Most of you are older people, and if you've read the book, one of the things Ian mentioned 5 years ago, maybe you joined the club since, but he's got a little resume here, which I can't read, so I haven't got my glasses, but I know what I've in the book. And you should know about the 5 S's, the components of fitness, whether you're a runner or a rugby player or whatever. Give me some ideas. I need 5 S's. Strength, stamina, speed, suppleness.
Speed.
You got that? Yeah. There's one more, which we did a lot of at the weekend actually.
Stretching.
Well, that was suppleness. Yeah.
Stretching.
Sorry?
Stretching.
That was, yeah. We did technique, didn't we? So,
That's a T.
no, okay, so what? Think of an S.
She can spell. Sorry.
Skill. Skill, which is very important and nearly always neglected by most runners, especially old runners, and especially runners who just think it doesn't matter, as long as I'm going, as long as I feel I can't go any faster, I can't be doing any more, you know. And you know, ultra tight runners running on these sort of surfaces here, it's difficult and it gets very, very tough, but it's hard to run skillfully on for long distances on tough terrain. But the skill, what I'm talking about is balance and timing, coordination, you know, so that your whole body is moving in sync, not that you're struggling on and half of it's fighting against the other half, you know. So okay, so in the book, I mean, a lot of it is about the skill, and not many other books. You probably agree. Not many books are written which include skill, because running is thought to be a non-skillful event. You know, anyone can run. You just put one foot in front of the other, try as hard as you can. But that's not the case. And so what we were trying to do with that little session at the weekend was to think about different parts of the body and what they can do to hinder you, prevent you from going faster, or to help you go faster. And you know, even your head. I don't think you want to go into, because it's much easier in a practical situation. But if your head isn't wobbling about or leaning back, if you're looking where you want to go rather than gazing about and looking at the scenery, you've got to look like you're on a mission to get to where you want to go fast. Your arms, perhaps the most important thing, the timing of how you use your arms. You don't want to flap them, you don't want to cross in a twist, you don't want to whack them back like that, and definitely you don't want to push because you go backwards. You know, all these things you can do is just a little bit of skill with the timing of your arms to help you fall into the next step. So I don't want to get too technical, but there's a lot of skill involved, quite apart from pace judgment and concentration and that sort of thing, which, again, if you just read the books about the scientific approach to running, they don't give you any help at all on those sort of things. There's a lot of, that's why the books are called The Art of Running Faster. There's a lot of non-scientific aspects which can help you produce fantastic performances, including peaking, you know, being not just fit but raring to go. You know, then when you are raring to go, not going too fast at the start, but judging things correctly for the length of the event you're doing. So anyway, that's the skill. Now for you guys, I think that's an important thing to think about, and if you can find decent surfaces to run on, then that is at least it's possible. If on rough surfaces, you can't. I mean, you just got to look where you're going and miss the rocks and the boulders. So find smooth surfaces, whether it's grass. If you can't find grass, at least a smooth, runnable road surface. And don't have to go very far. Okay, you just want to run correctly. There's various sessions I suggest in the book, but you don't want to do such long sessions that such long efforts that you're hardly going quicker than race pace. So anyway, I'm getting on to something else now. So skill is important. The other thing, the other S, which is probably very neglected as you get older, is the suppleness and the stretching. Is that fairly good guess? Fairly accurate? Yes. You don't have to be doing the stretching only when you run. You can do it 3 or 4 times a day. You can do it on days you don't run at all. But the stretching enables you to have that range of movement and looseness, so that you can take longer strides, therefore go quicker. You can be more relaxed when you land and less jarring, less injury risk. Stretching is very, very important. Okay, and especially if you're going to try and run faster, doing these harder sessions, because if you're tight, you're more likely to get injured, and that is a little problem. So do your stretching. Now that makes me think in terms of cross training. You know, you don't all your training. It's the same heart and lungs that you've got. You don't want to be hammering your legs so much and risking getting injured. You want to train your heart and lungs, and cross training can really help that. Swimming in particular, fantastic climate here for swimming. And it's a recovery for your legs, but it also loosens you up, your upper body, and so I would obviously include swimming in your training. So anyway, so we've done strength and we've done suppleness and skill. Again, unfortunately, and I know only too well, as you get older, all those S's you lose probably most, it is strength. Or if you're starting running, what stops you going quicker most of the time is just not strong enough. So you've got to find ways to get stronger. Now, what I'm trying to get towards is that you're thinking of specific sessions which produce specific training effects. Not just thinking, well, I'll go for another run, where should I go today? Well, I haven't been there for a while. And let's do a hilly sort of run or a longer run. But you're looking to produce training effects such as making you more supple, making you stronger, making you better recovering, having been out of breath many times. And that if you do sessions like that, they don't have to be very long, but they're very different from just another run. It does involve some effort, it does involve some organisation, it does involve finding the right terrain to do it on. But you are allowed to have a rest. It's not like you have to, once I've started, you've got to finish, you've got to run for an hour non-stop. You're much better for some of these sessions to go fast and slow, or even stop and recover, and do it many times. That is the recovery. It's how quick you recover from being out of breath that is really the best indicator of your fitness. It's not how long you can go, how far you can go, it's how quick you recover from being out of breath. And meanwhile, when you're doing these sort of speed sessions, you will be building up more strength. I mean, if you're running long and slow, you are improving your it's called capillarization. You are fitter. You're burning calories. But are you really getting stronger when you're going very slow for an hour? I would say you're probably not. You've got to think. And I'm not saying never do those sessions, but you need a balance. And in the book, I'm trying to give you an idea of the sort of balance that, or a variety of sessions that you can think of doing to produce these different training effects. And in fact, I think you'll find it's more enjoyable having a variety of sessions rather than doing the same sort of stuff on the same terrain every time you run. So what have you done? Strength. So how are you going to get stronger? Give me an idea. I'm talking too much. Give me some. What sessions can you do to get stronger?
Gym session.
Hills. Yeah.
Speed walk.
So it's right. And so give me an idea of what you think of speed work at the moment. What would a speed session be?
Dave, Speedy Dave,
Speedy Dave.
telling us that we have to do 2 minutes
faster.
It's like a loosen up jog for about a kilometre, and then some stretching,
Yeah.
and then 6 times 6 reps of 1 minute. Say.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer the 1 minute to start off with because it's not as intense as 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Is this up a hill or just on?
no, it's level enough. We do go over hilly terrain, but mostly flat. But each time after 1 minute, we have a 1 minute recovery where we all get back together to repeat again. 6 times.
So they all stop after a minute? Or do the first?
Well, I prefer to keep everybody moving, keep everybody jogging. We all jog back to the back,
Yeah.
and when we're all together, It's time to
So
go
the
again.
fastest
It's
guys
usually
get more
time to
rest.
go
What
again.
I'm getting at, do the fastest guys get more rest?
Yes.
That's terrible, isn't it?
But the
You want to fix it. That is just...
No, they get the same
No,
rest.
they get the same
Same
rest
rest.
because they have to jog back to me.
Everybody does a minute, don't they?
Every dozen minutes, that's good. Yeah, I mean,
Everybody does a minute.
yeah, whereas if it was by distance,
That's true.
No, it's a minute.
It's not by distance, it's by time.
by time, exactly.
A
So when
minute-
the
a minute
first guys
starting
get done a
a minute.
minute, the service guys get done a minute, and then you have the same amount of rest. But you could even give the solo guys a bit more rest sometimes. But yeah, that's an idea. Six
Faster
times,
guys do
yeah.
more distance.
Okay, perfect, yeah. And so you can do that sort of thing up hills. You can do, I like doing the hill sessions where, or any sessions where the slowest person starts at the back, at the front, sorry, and the fastest person at the back. And it's more like a handicap. Because you do stay together and you finish pretty close and you get the same amount of rest. But it's quite encouraging for the slower people to be in front for quite a while, so they get caught. And it's quite encouraging for the fast guys to have something to chase. So there's ways of doing this if you think about it, and it can be quite sociable, probably more sociable than going for a long run where you get split up and you're running in ones and twos most of the way. Anyway, so yeah, that's good sort of speed work, yeah. And how fast do you know how to go when you're doing speed work? How do you judge it?
If in total we do about 12 to 14 reps, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, in my head it's that I want to be to the point of being
Sick.
putting the effort in to be shagged out by kind of 10 out of 12 or 10 out of 13, because there's no point in being kaput after one or two.
No.
But at the same point, there's no point in not being tired when you get to the last one. So you kind of aim, in my head, you kind of judge it because you come in, we kind of do it at a loop, so you know full well that on the last K there's only a certain amount of time, unless Dave gets a bit sadistic and goes left a bit and right a bit and left a bit and brings us round. But
I'm just getting
my head is
more
kind of.
what's the feeling that you would have if you go too
You should build
fast?
that, I think you should build up to the stage where something on your last repetition continue at the same speed.
So the first few you probably feel quite hard, and then the last one, the last one,
just
you're
about
dying.
Yeah.
Well, Dave typically says run at 90-95% of your capacity.
I always
Well,
say
it's not.
run it faster than the race pace every single day.
That's a very important thing. I should have mentioned it. So all these reps should be fast and race pace.
Yeah.
Which
10k race.
well, then people say what distance
Which race?
are you racing exactly? But yeah, I mean, an example of the sort of session I'd say to avoid is a common session which clubs send their guys to on courses, which and then they give them ideas of sessions, and they come back and say, right, well, we're going to do this session. You're going to do 10 times a k, which is a long way. 10 times 1k on the track at your 10k race pace, not quicker, but at. And to my mind, that is just a session which it doesn't produce any improvement. It just tires you out. But you know you're doing a speed which you can carry on without rest at all. So.
But if you were training for a half marathon or a marathon and you ran and that was your speed work, would that be appropriate? Well, if you were training for a 5k or a 10k race, I can see that's a bit of a waste of time. But you've got to push yourself and get used to it.
I would still say you want to go quicker. You're really saying, well, you'd have to do your whole half marathon distance at that speed in order to get that benefit. Do you not think? I mean, but generally speaking, someone's 10k pace, someone's half marathon pace, even someone's marathon pace, it's all too slow. You want to be going faster than that. If you can run faster at 5k, you'll go quicker at 10k. If you can go faster at 10k, you'll go quicker at half marathon all the way through. So you want to get down to some, quite short distances. Does anyone ever run a mile as fast as they can? Have you ever run a mile? You see, it'd be very interesting. You have, yeah. And was that at school or as a grown up?
About like 20 years ago,
Yeah,
550.
550.
That was a times mile with my old running club.
Yeah, well, I think it's a really good thing to do. So then base your sessions on quicker than that pace. If you're going to do 400s,
I don't think I can do that now.
but it's the same sort of principle which Dave was talking about here. Quicker than race pace. So I don't think necessarily, unless you're doing lots of reps, anything more than 10k race pace is, you're trying to get quicker than that.
So is this like what they call high intensity interval training?
Yeah, but it's not sprints, but it's quite high intensity. Yeah, and after you've done 6 or 8 of them, and you've got 10 to do, it does feel quite intense. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not as fast as you can possibly go and hang on for the rest of the time. But you need a rest. But what you're training your body to do is to run that quick, be strong enough to run that quick, and particularly to recover in just your 90 seconds or 2 minutes that you've got to have a recovery, and then you can do it again and again and again. And it isn't just mental, it isn't just physical fitness that goes up, it's mental as well. You get pretty tough. You think, well, in a race, I've done this loads of times. You've done, 10 hills in a session, 10 pretty tough hills, and then, there's a few hills in a race where you've been there before. You know what to expect. You know what it feels like, and you will recover. You're confident you can recover.
If you could recommend one
magic session.
One session.
Yeah.
What would it be? How many reps would you be aiming for? And what sort of length?
Well,
it sounds like shorter rather than longer.
Yeah, it's so much difficult given that you've got different events you're going to have. But probably, as you say, 6 times a minute. Yeah. Probably 10 or 12 times 400 meters. But again, depending on people's ability. And that's a basic sort of session. But the best way to discover what you can do is a fartlek session. Do you ever do fartleks?
Yeah. Julian, I was just going to ask you about that because I was a huge fan of fartlek.
You are. You say you are.
Well, I certainly. When I used to
certainly. Yeah.
And I think because a lot of this discussion is very, it's talking about structured and technical, and that can put a lot of people off. And whereas fartlek training is much more relaxed, but can be very effective.
Can be very, very tough.
Intensity.
And it's a great introduction to speed work.
All of us could go off and do a fartlek session and enjoy it. Whereas many of us would, with some of that other stuff, about 10 times whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
Time into, all that. We would kind of, not really enjoy it at all. And that might put people off. So I'm just sort of, at our age, if I can put it like that, fartlek sessions I think are very useful. And
well, do you ever do them as a club?
I think you need to explain what they are.
Who doesn't know what a fartlek?
Well, personally, I'm not really.
Fartlek session, it means speed play. It's fast and slow. You're not timed. There's no measured distance. You just, when you feel like going faster, you go faster. When you just need to slow down, you slow down.
You run to the next lamppost as quick as you can. Then the second corner on the right, you kind of jog, and then the other one, it's 3/4.
You see it running in front. You say, "I'm going to catch them up," and I have a rest.
Yeah, it's just it can be a fun thing.
So well, it is a fun thing. But it can also be quite fierce.
Do we still do that kind of stuff? Is it still?
Definitely.
Okay. You still call it fartlek?
Yeah. But I describe in the book some of the best fartlek sessions I did with just 1 or 2 guys who need to be fairly similar standard. But it's again to help you discover what you can do. The deal is, one of the runners goes, the rest of the other 1 or 2 with him, they've just got to stay. No overtaking, stay with him. They don't know how far he's going. You might be going 100 metres, you might go in 1,000 metres. Just stay with it, okay? But as soon as that effort is over, the next runner decides how much rest he got. So you might give him 10 seconds rest and he's off again. You might give him 3 minutes rest. But it becomes a great fartlek session, even because it's fast and slow. But you discover what you can do, but you particularly discover what other people struggle with, which maybe is a bit fierce. I don't know. But it's a lot of fun. It's like playing poker. You know, don't show any signs of weakness. Don't show you're struggling. It's a lot of fun.
Sorry, can I just ask?
Yeah, sure.
You've probably heard that I'm running a group called Soul Sisters.
Soul Sisters, yeah.
A lot of these ladies never did run.
No.
But they're doing really, really well. So would you recommend fartlek sessions?
I would. But how many times a week are they running?
They're running 3 times a week.
Yeah. So there are 3 different sorts of runs, or are they 3 similar?
When you say sorts, do you mean in different areas?
No, I mean, is one long, one short, one easy?
We're going from the City to Couch to 5K. So at the moment, some of them are up to 7-minute runs and 2-minute walks.
Yeah. Well, that's like a fartlek, is it?
Yeah.
Fine.
So you call that fartlek as well, do you?
I would, yeah.
So
are you saying after 7 minutes they need a rest?
Okay.
Right. So maybe give them a rest after 5 minutes, but make them go longer.
Well, we've already done that.
All right.
We've already done 5 minutes.
Or make them go faster, or allow them to
So
go faster.
we could perhaps introduce a fartlek in the 7-minute run that they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
If we could go
Well,
to
within that 7
or
minutes.
something.
No, I think the pattern of what you described is already a fartlek with those 2-minute rests,
right.
you see. But you try and encourage them in the 2-minute rest not to walk, but just to go really slow, you know. Get your breath back while you're jogging.
Very, very slowly.
As slow as you like, but try and
I
jog.
do encourage them because they do like talking. When they're resting.
Talking's the best, yeah? If you're talking when you're running, then you're in control and you're not struggling.
Excuse me, just as we're on novice runners, how do you improve breathing techniques to help kind of improve, obviously, the running?
So what technique do you use? Do you just breathe in whenever you need to? Are you gasping?
No, that's not gasping.
Hang on, guys, I can't hear.
No, not gasping, but I had the interesting comment when running with others that I can tell you're not a seasoned runner because I can hear you breathing.
Yeah.
Which to me was like, okay, what am I doing wrong here? So
I've been beaten by a guy in a race who sounded like he was going to die.
I don't understand.
5 miles, his breathing was terrible, and I thought, there's no problem beating this guy, and he wouldn't drop, you know.
I just
But
wanted tips and techniques.
it's a bit of a poker, though. Don't let the other guy know that you're struggling. You know, try and breathe quietly. But no,
I love that. Well, let him think you're struggling.
Yeah, clear off. Yeah.
Are there exercises that you can
Well, there
do
are. I
to
mean,
help?
swimming is fantastic because you have to have a very. You can only breathe in when your head's out of the water swimming, but it's a very different pattern to running. But it's still the same sort of control. So swimming, you might do 3 strokes with your head and then turn, yeah, and just a quick breath, 3 strokes and then turn. That's very different to running. And in running, I mean, I mentioned it in the book. I would say you definitely want to have the same number of the same amount of time breathing in as breathing out. You don't want to be gasping. You don't want to be and then you have to expel the air before you get more air in. So that's the control bit, perhaps. But try and time it with your footsteps. So 3 steps breathing in, 3 steps breathing out. If you're really going fast, 2 steps in, 2 steps out. Okay? If you're trying to improve it, you do 4 in, 4 out. The 4 in's not so difficult, the 4 out's quite difficult. You have to control it. So you may not want to do it continuously, you might just have a stretch doing that. But it's that sort of control. But perhaps the best way is not even thinking about it. It's something as complicated as that. It's just be talking. If you're talking when you're running, it's not too bad. As much as you like. As long as you're running. Yeah, but you can always tell when a guy's struggling because he stops talking and then put the boot in. Yeah. But yeah, it's another skill, the breathing, which I should have mentioned earlier on. Yeah. So anyway, speed. We've done speed works, strength, suppleness, stamina. Stamina. You don't think you just get stamina from going a long way non-stop. I mean, that is obviously stamina training, and the further you go, I suppose the more stamina you've got. It's pretty obvious. But don't think that the speed work that I'm suggesting, 12 times 400, don't think that's just speed work. It's not speed work only. It's speed endurance. It really increases your stamina. It's not about how fast you can go, because you've got 12 reps of it. Even if you're 12 times 30 seconds. And you were saying, well, 30 seconds is a bit short, people might go, I think it's a bit fierce. But if you're doing 12 or 16 of them, well, it's quite a lot. And they can, with a group, they can tick by very quickly. Perhaps you might do sets of four times 30 seconds with just half a minute in between, then a 3 minutes rest, then 4 more, 30 seconds in between. They tick by very quick. If you're going out for 30 seconds rest, come back, and the slower people at the front coming back, you all stay together. So there's a lot of encouragement you can give to each other. But then you don't think, oh, am I doing it wrong, or why am I doing this on my own? It's not much fun. In a group, it's much easier to do these sorts of sessions, and you get a real benefit, and you get the feedback. Because this week, I was much closer to Joe Bloggs than I was last week. You get that sort of feedback. Whereas on a long run, oh God, it feels terrible. You feel you're on your own. You don't get that sort of immediate feedback. Your watch can be a friend, or how close you are to your mates can be a very good indicator. Just little improvements. That's what you want. Little encouragement. And if they're suffering, just a little bit of rivalry. You obviously want to help each other, but it's also nice to think, I've improved since last week. I'm probably going to stop there and just offer or open it to any questions if you like. If you've got anything that I should have mentioned or you weren't clear about.
Do you put any particular significance on lactate threshold training and VO2 max training, or do you consider they're not particularly relevant?
I don't think it's particularly relevant to the guys here. No, I don't. I think it gets too technical. Does anyone know what VO2 max is? I don't even think the Kenyans know, and they go. If you're out of breath, if you're unsustainably out of breath, then you've gone over that anaerobic threshold. And if you do that and then recover, and do that and recover many times, then your VO2 max, which is the amount of oxygen you can use, extract from the air, get through your lungs, get to your blood, get to your muscles. It's not just how much air you can breathe in and hope for the best. It all has to be used. Then your VO2 max will improve, because you'll have bigger lungs, you'll have a bigger heart pumping it around, you'll have more capillaries getting to the muscle, and the muscles will have more muscle fibres, and they'll be stronger. Okay, so but I'd much rather keep it simple. By all means, if you want to spend some money, go and have your VO2 max tested, and go away and train for 6 months and go back and try it again. But the first reading is probably not much help to anyone. It's a comparison, it's improvement, it's progression that you're after. But in my view, the best progression isn't in these scientific measurements, it's in how fast you're running. How fast you run for a mile, how fast you run for 10k, how fast you run for a marathon. That's what you want to do, isn't it? It's no good being the world record holder of VO2 max and not winning a race. No? I think it's overrated, even for the top athletes. It's good feedback, but for most people, it's a distraction at best. Yeah.
Julian, totally different tack, but can you remember what you did the evening that you had won the national?
Yeah, I do.
Don't say I went to sleep. What did you do?
Well, it was at Parliament Hill. It was in London, and some friends of mine from university from a couple of years ago had arranged a reunion that night, and I was a little bit anxious. I didn't want to get sort of diverted, but I was keen to go there. So, having won the race, I turned up with a cup and we got a bottle of champagne, or a tip of champagne in a cup, and so they all celebrated with us.
I think it was in a Greek restaurant, wasn't it? I think it was a Greek restaurant. Chalk
Farm, something like that.
Yeah.
Somewhere, yeah. So yes, I do remember that.
It was a big cup and it held quite a lot of champagne.
The next day we were out for a run and more champagne. Guys come round from the club, we did a run together, and yeah, it was a big celebration.
I think what we remember about it most though is my parents didn't know anything about running, and I didn't know anything about running, but they knew that Julie was running fairly close to where they lived, so they pitched up. My mum had her sort of smart leather boots on the heels and a handbag, and the mud at Parliament Hill. But bless her heart, she trudged through it with her boots. But we went back to their house afterwards, and all she wanted to do was wash Julian's spikes out. You know, she had his spikes. She was so proud. She had them in the kitchen sink, and she was washing these spikes, and it was I'll never forget that, bless her.
And my coach, Harry Wilson. But no, it's a shame we never got to celebrate with Harry, did we?
Do you ever do treadmill work? Because you've got very good feedback when you do that. You know exactly what you do. You do the inclines, you know your speed.
Yeah.
You can also do.
Yes, it is a useful tool, especially when it's horrible weather. You know, either too hot or too cold. It's a slightly different technique, probably. You know, the longer you stay off the ground, the more ground goes underneath you. You're not trying to go forward quite so. It's when you have got no resistance, no wind resistance, or buffeting you about, knocking you off balance or whatever. But no, for structured sessions, really quite good. It takes a long while sometimes for the band to pick up speed. You gradually go a bit quicker, but no. I wouldn't choose to run a treadmill because I like the sounds and the smells and the challenges of being outdoors. But in adverse weather conditions, if it's too hot or too cold or too wet, or you don't know if you're injured or you're coming back from an injury, you don't know how far you can go. You don't risk conking out 3 miles from home. It's always very useful, yeah. But you do end up doing it on your own. And you'd like some company, wouldn't you? You get him to get another treadmill so you can have a.
Why have you suffering on No, I just wondered if you ever did it, because what I do like is I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I can target it, and I can go faster if I want.
Yeah.
I can race.
Yeah.
Go have a higher elevation.
But do you set yourself targets that are progressive? So aiming towards
increasing speed.
The race, is it coming up?
No.
That's fine.
Just doing more.
But no.
You spent the first year just going in the gym and looking at the treadmill.
Yeah, she's coming on well.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said about something you can do if it's too hot as well.
Oh yeah.
I never thought of it that way. I only thought if it's too cold, you can go in the gym.
Yeah.
Go on the treadmill.
Well, you've got the fan, haven't you?
And it does get too hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do it easy. I have the fan behind me, the swimming pool outside to jump into when I've done it. If it's really hot, I put the aircon on as well. And if it really, really is hot, I jump in the cold shower first because the fan evaporates the water on the back. I keep cool. So.
Oh, you see Mo Farah. I mean, I used to splash some water on my face, every arms, legs, a lot before a race and a hop. If you get to the water jump, I mean, he brings his bottle of water out. He's much more professional, but you just get a water jump. But if you feel cool, it's much better. Yeah. I mean, Ali was struggling in the heat. He won't put water on his head. Will you?
No.
I had a bottle here.
It runs off too quickly anyway. I have no evaporation problem.
But what about water, training in water? I know it's good if you're injured. Is it good if you're not injured?
What, you mean?
Running with a belt, floating.
Building strength up or something.
Again, I think it's so boring. I mean, if it's all you can do, then I would say rather than do that, swim. You still get out of breath, which is what you're doing when you're running. But I think running without your feet touching the floor, it's hardly a running movement. There's no impact, there's no spring. You're almost sitting down running. Whereas if your feet are touching the floor, then you can still pick your knees up high, and it is more like running. So to my mind, running the water, it's good resistance, and it's better if you don't need a belt. You just let your feet touch the water,
So maybe
touch the floor.
what's very popular here, particularly with women, is aqua aerobics.
Yeah.
So do running and maybe one session of aqua aerobics
Yeah.
once a week. Or
I've said about cross training. Do something. Get out of breath every day, but don't maybe only run 3 or 4 times a week. But what was that?
Doing the hoovering.
Well, time yourself, then you know if you're improving. How long does it take you?
Very indoors.
Doing your message.
We do a lot of aqua actually out here because we've got somebody who does really high intensity aqua training, and I do find that when you run, it's very good then to have an aqua session as well, because you're really using a lot of exercise in and out, and it's got stretches as well. It's good for joints.
I mean, hydrotherapy. It's very, very good.
think one more question.
Before we adjourn to the
One
bar,
more question before we start drinking.
I've still got 3 books left.
You know,
If
like
you need more.
Whilst we've been talking.
No, no more drinking. Anybody got one last important question? Pressing important.
I haven't got a question, but I've got a comment, Julie. It's just as a guy who's been a club runner for a long time, and I've run in the nationals. I hasten to add it was, way at the back where I finished. But it's because it's such a club event. The National Cross Country Championships is, leading up to that and everything. It's very much good. And I can kind of relate to you. It's really nice. Thanks for coming over and doing all this stuff. The other stuff like Commonwealth Games and all that, it's like, well, they're something else. They're elite athletes, and I can never belong to that. But the club bit, I think, is really important. That's the point I think I'm trying to make. And there's a relationship between you and I. It may not be, but you know what I mean. As a club runner.
Yeah. Because you've been in the same race with all those people.
So, thanks. Yeah. Well, it's Paphos running club. It's really good to have that.
Good. Well, thank you. And cross country, I can't recommend it enough. Don't think it's just a club run. I mean, the World Cross is probably the hardest race to win for distance runners because it includes marathon runners, 10k runners, 5k runners, milers, steeple chasers, and cross country runners. It's only the one event. It's very, very hard. But cross country, fell running. That's pretty extreme. But that makes you very, very strong and resilient.
And I remember years ago, the National Cross Country being described as the quickest first half a mile you'll ever run. compared to relative to the distance.
Yeah.
Because of the start going down to the funnel sort of thing.
Yeah. You have to get a good start. You never see them at start with a 10k on the track running quite as quick as that.
Right.
No, they've just got to get in there. Once you've got a position, then your race settles down, and you can. But you're lost if you've not got that position. But you're talking about the elite. I mean, most people get caught up in the morass, and it's a luck of the draw, really. Which side of the start they were, how many people are getting in the way of them, and how long it takes them to fight their way through. It's a tough race, isn't it?
I remember watching it a couple of times when I was little.
You'll be in it next year, mate.
No.
Anyway, if anybody would like a book, as I say, there's 3 left, and we can get more if you need. But I'll need to know if you want them signed. They're €20 each one.
So Julian, thank you very, very much.
Yeah.